Hi, I'm Mike Farrell. Welcome to World Travel's new online series, bringing you updates on airlines, hotels, car rentals, all things travel as we emerge from COVID-19. Let's go. We are so excited to bring you this new episode of Let's Go here from Bedford Springs, Pennsylvania at the Omni Bedford Springs. What a beautiful resort. So before we start the interview, let me show you around a little bit. Let's go. Welcome to part 2 of our interview here at the Omni Bedford Springs. We're sitting down with Bill Liedholm and Dave Nostrand to talk about your travelers and what they can expect when checking into the hotel post-COVID. So I want to talk about and find out about all of the extra things in the hotel that when a traveler checks in, they're not just checking into the hotel room and then leaving the hotel room and going home. That they are able to experience some of the amenities, in particular, the beautiful 6th ranked in the country spa here at the Omni Bedford Springs. It's phenomenal. I can't wait to experience it myself. But talk about all of those things, the restaurants, the spa, the golf around here. What things are open and what's not?
We get calls literally several times a day saying, what's open, what's not open, what's different. And our first answer, fortunately right now, we're at the point where we answer almost nothing is different. All of our services are open and functioning at the level they were prior to the shutdown. And in many cases, most cases, even at a higher level. There are some restrictions that we have to follow. We're imposed 50% dining capacity restrictions, and so we've answered that by spreading out our capacity a little bit. We're fortunate to have an awful lot of space here, and we're able to take advantage of the outdoor dining throughout the summer, which is really been beneficial to our guest experience. The spa is operating also at 50% capacity, and the strict protocols that were put in place with the spa, I think, specifically highlight how careful we are, because there's no way you can eliminate close contact in a spa. So we've really had to step up the protocols, step up the distancing, step up the protection gear that we have, and ensure that, again, our guests and our associates are kept safe. I can't think of a service that we're not offering now that we were offering before COVID, with the exception of a couple of self-serve type options. We've eliminated pretty much all self-serve options just so that we can control who's touching and the sanitation and disinfecting of those items. But other than that, through the training and the Clean and Safe program that Omni's put forth, we're able to offer just about everything that we were able to offer before we shut down. And that comes as a surprise to people, but again, it's because we've had cooperation not only from our team members, but also tremendous cooperation and consideration from our guests.
That's phenomenal. That's great. And as I was walking around the resort yesterday and looking at all these amenities, it's just amazing and breathtaking that we're able to get back to those levels. I have to share with you that our producer and I sat out by the fire pit last night. It's got to be one of the greatest amenities here at the resort. On a nice fall night like it was last night, being able to sit out at the beautiful fire pit, just share some socially distanced conversations with the other guests. It was a really, really enjoyable evening. So thank you very much. I want to talk a little bit more about the guest experience in the hotel room. As I mentioned, there's some misunderstandings about what's going to happen when I'm in my hotel room. Many guests ask us, will it be cleaned? Many of our travelers want to know, will I have to have the same towels throughout the entire stay? So what policies or what procedures have been put into place here to make sure that the guest experience within the hotel room isn't much different than before?
That's a great question. One of the most important things that we've done is really given our guests some options. Everything that you would expect to receive from a full service luxury resort, you can receive. You can receive your daily cleaning and your daily terry exchanges, etc. But if you prefer not to, then we've got a process in place for that as well. We allow our guests to, and encourage them as much as they feel comfortable, to opt out of those services or opt out partially out of those services, and call us when they want to have any of those amenities either replaced, replenished, or areas cleaned. We leave, I guess you could call it a trail sometimes, in the guest rooms with stickers and plastic bags where we date when we've last cleaned something and when we've last disinfected it, so that our guests, again, have that confidence that we've been in there and we're taking all the necessary precautions. But I think most importantly, we've really tried to personalize and individualize that experience so that whatever your level of comfort, we can accommodate.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's so important that the consumers understand expectations coming into the hotel, and you've done a great job of describing that for them. Dave, I'm going to switch over to you and ask you about the crystal ball question. Everybody wants to know, our customers want to know, our travelers want to know what to expect for the rest of this year and then into 2021. I know none of us had a crystal ball to know this would happen, but if you were to have that crystal ball and no one's going to hold you to this, what would you say we can expect for the rest of 2020 and into 2021?
Yeah, obviously it's very tough to predict the future. I don't think anybody would have ever anticipated this pandemic lasting as long as it has. But I would think that, through the end of the year, and what we're seeing is we're still seeing the strong demand for transient, and we're seeing groups starting to see some pickup. So I think that that's going to continue, and I think that's going to continue to look good. Q1 is obviously a time of year that's a little bit slower for the resort. However, I still anticipate that the leisure transient demand will stay strong in Q1, and we'll start seeing more life from the group segment and from the business travelers. So we're hopeful that as things progress, things will continue to get better and better going forward.
Yeah, as Dave mentioned earlier, we were somewhat pleasantly surprised shortly after reopening that we were picking up in the leisure transient travel as much as we were. Right now, we're really, really optimistic about our business levels throughout the end of the year, or through to the end of the year. We're continually revising our forecast to show the strength in the leisure travel. Groups, we were talking about this morning at another meeting, how we're seeing a lot of small groups that just want to get out and get a change of venue in order to get some of their business objectives taken care of, and we're seeing a lot more of those. From a social event standpoint, important life events are still very, very popular, and we're getting a tremendous number of inquiries for those life events, whether they be receptions, weddings, birthdays, that sort of thing. And we're very encouraged going into the first quarter, which is normally, as Dave mentioned, our slowest time of year, that we're not seeing the fall off that you might have otherwise anticipated. It's a little too early to tell. I think our guests are making decisions more short-term now based on the environment and their individual circumstances. It's a little too early to tell how we'll finish the first quarter, but we're very optimistic that strength of this demand is going to continue.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Being more specific to groups, because a lot of our audience are meeting planners, and they've been sitting back and waiting and actually saying, I'm not going to book my group yet for 2021. And we've been talking to them, our meeting department has been talking to them saying, don't wait too long, because those blocks are going to start filling up. And if you do wait too long, you risk losing the space and you risk losing the dates that you want. Can you guys speak to that? I'll throw it out to either one of you. What would your words of encouragement be to our buyers?
Well, I would tell them exactly what you're saying. I would tell them to start looking right now and getting their dates on the books for 2021. During 2020, we took a lot of cancellations, and most of the cancellations that we saw rebooked for 2021. So a lot of the dates, a lot of the choice dates in 2021 are already booked. We're seeing it not only during the week, but we're also seeing it on the weekends with the weddings. A lot of weddings, although they came in, a lot of weddings moved, and it's going to be very tough to get a Saturday in 2021. So I would tell people if they're looking at space and they're looking to hold a meeting in 2021, they should get something on the books now, or run the risk, as you said, of not getting the dates that they're looking for.
Thank you very much, which circles back to what we talked about a little bit earlier in the conversation, and that is, this is a drive market. So it gives those meeting planners an opportunity to get several people from several different locations. Many of our companies have locations in Pittsburgh, in Baltimore, in Philadelphia. It's a drive market, a central location for many of those companies to have meetings here in 2021. So thank you.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on being centrally located in the state of Pennsylvania. And, I've said this before, but some of the most important meetings that have ever taken place in Pennsylvania and in the United States have taken place in this hotel because of the age of our property being around for 225 years.
We're a short drive away, but we're worlds away. So that's, again, it gives people the opportunity to pursue their business goals and achieve some of their objectives with a different environment around them. And, change of environment sometimes changes thought processes, and great things happen.
What I want to talk right now about is all of our companies and the C-suite, the level of executives out there that have forfeited the opportunity to meet and to strategize with each other because of COVID. That since March, a leadership team that maybe would meet 3 or 4 times a year or have met 3 or 4 times since March, haven't met at all or have only met via Zoom. We know what impact that has on the true strategy meetings that need to happen to lead their organizations. As I was walking around the resort, I noticed that there is a lot of opportunity for meeting space and conferences, and you host some very large groups. But let's draw it down to just that leadership team that hasn't met since March and talk about the opportunities that would be here for them, the Omni Bedford Springs, to say, come out to our resort, have an opportunity to socially distance and sit down with each other and strategize for 2021 and beyond. I know you have had many important VIP guests already stay at the resort, so you're ready for these C-levels to come in. Can you talk a little bit about that, Dave?
Sure. I guess really the bread and butter of our hotel is that C-level suite type meeting, the board of directors, the smaller meetings that want to come out, strategize, have the face-to-face synergy that takes place. We all know how important it is to be face-to-face with somebody, and that's where the synergy takes place when you have those meetings. We have a lot of conference rooms here in the resort that we can host those smaller board meetings, C-level suite type meetings. As you mentioned, we have had 13 presidents that have visited the resort. 7 of them have actually stayed overnight in the resort. So they have also, a lot of them hosted their groups and their C-level meeting here at the resort.
That's great. Bill and Dave, you guys have been phenomenal. This has been a great opportunity to sit down, to sit in a hotel, to sit in the Ross Suite and learn a lot more about the policies and procedures that you've put into place. What I like to do is sum up each Let's Go episode with 3 main points that we covered here today. And the first is, I want everybody on the other side of that camera to understand how beautiful the Omni Bedford Springs really is. It is a hidden gem here in central Pennsylvania that is just absolutely stunning. If you haven't looked at the Omni Bedford Springs yet, you definitely want to do so. The second point that I want to make is to clear up all the misconceptions. I think we did a great job today of summarizing that many of you are sitting there thinking that the hotel's going to be closed, the restaurant's going to be closed, the spa is going to be closed. I think Bill gave a great explanation of nothing's really changed since pre-COVID. Now, moving forward, the spa is open, the golf course is open, the restaurants are open. Of course, they need to regulate with the socially distanced requirements that the state puts into effect, but they're open. And then the third and final point that I want to make sure that our audience understands is that you need to look at 2021 now and realize that you probably already would have started your planning in normal times. I'd like you to take into consideration that it's time to reach out to World Travel. It's time to reach out to the hotels to get your meeting on the books for the date and the duration and the place where you want to be in 2021. Finally, if you haven't considered Omni Bedford Springs for 2021, I highly encourage you to do so. So from us to our audience, let's go.